Hello everybody, this is Phil with ELI Online from Missouri State University, and we're going to do lesson 4 for our pronunciation course. We're going to focus today on pronouncing intonation. This topic got a little bit bigger than I had planned. We were going to talk about pronouncing intonation and also thought groups, but because I have a little bit more to say on intonation, we're just going to focus on that. I will mention thought groups a little bit, but our focus is intonation. Okay, so let's talk about intonation. Intonation is a change in the pitch of your voice. So what I mean by pitch, it is not volume. Volume is how loud your voice is, but the pitch is like the musical note of your voice. Is it very low or is it very high? It's the pitch of your voice, okay? So in English, we change the pitch of our voice pretty often when we're speaking, and it can mean a lot of things. Changing the pitch of your voice can show that you're asking a question, or if you're in a conversation, it can show that you're finished talking, or that in longer sentences that your sentence is finished. Changing the pitch for one word in a sentence can change the meaning of what you're saying in some interesting ways. Okay, so there's a lot going on here. Intonation can be very complicated. It can mean a whole lot of things. So today is just an introduction, but hopefully I can give you a good idea of what intonation is and how it works and what that means for your speaking. So it's important to know that your intonation can rise and it can fall. Okay, rise or fall. All right. We do both of these. They mean different things in different situations, and it's very important because, again, the intonation lets your listener know what you're saying. So let's look a little more closely. Okay, intonation is very important for questions. Okay, and questions in English can be a little bit difficult in general. The grammar changes, there are different kinds of questions. Sometimes we use regular sentences as questions. Questions can be tough, but intonation is a very important part of questions. And sometimes if your intonation is good, even if you have some grammar mistakes, people will still understand your question. Also, sometimes if your intonation is bad, even if you have perfect grammar, people might not understand. So intonation is very important when you're asking questions. So intonation rises, it goes up at the end of yes/no questions. Okay, so in this sentence, do you want some coffee? Okay, the pitch in my voice is going to start going up right about at the last word. Okay, so do you want some coffee? Do you want some coffee? Okay. It's a video. I hope you can still hear the pitch in my voice. Starts out right around here, ends up right up here. Okay. I kind of sound like I'm talking to my children, or I'm a cartoon a little bit. Okay, I'm exaggerating my pitch to make it a little bit bigger, but there needs to be a change. So if your voice is very low, it still needs to come up. If your voice is very high, it still needs to come up even more. Okay, the pitch needs to change. So, do you want some coffee? For a yes/no question, the last word, sometimes the last two words, the pitch will go up. Okay? WH words are a little bit more complicated. By WH words, I mean questions that are asking what, or when, or where, or who, or how, or why. All those different WH words that ask questions that have longer answers than just yes or no. So with these, your intonation goes up a little bit on the WH word, and then it goes up again at the end. Okay? So in this sentence, where's the cake? If I'm asking the question and I want to make it clear, I'd say, where's the cake? Where's the cake? All right. What are you doing? How are you? Right? So on these words, there's a rise in the intonation on the WH word, and then there's another rise at the end of the sentence. Sometimes both of these are big rises in intonation, sometimes one of them is a little smaller, but people will listen for that change in intonation. Okay, so I'll repeat it one more time. Do you want some coffee? Where's the cake? Okay, so I hope that you can hear that difference in intonation, difference in the pitch of my voice. Okay, let's talk about intonation in sentences that are not questions. Okay, in statements, in most sentences that are not questions, your intonation is going to fall at the end of the sentence. Okay, this lets people know that you're finished talking. So if your intonation doesn't go down, people might think that you're asking a question. Or they may think that you're going to say something else, that you're continuing your idea and are not finished talking. So they might look at you and wait and think that you're going to say something. So it's very important to practice this and make sure that your intonation falls a little bit when you are finished talking. So for example, if someone asked me if I wanted some coffee, I could say, I would like some coffee. I would like some coffee. Okay, it goes down. I would like some coffee. Some coffee. Okay. If they asked, where's the cake? I could say, the children ate the cake. Ate the cake. The children ate the cake. Okay. So I might stress other words. My intonation might do some things in the sentence that I'll talk about in a little bit. But typically at the end of a sentence, when we're finished talking, the intonation is going to fall. Okay. Sometimes, especially with young people, like teenage girls especially, this will change, and sometimes people will kind of have some rising intonation at the end of a lot of their sentences. But in general, in English, for just a statement, when at the end the pitch is going to fall. Okay, so this is a little extra information about intonation. Intonation is very important in thought groups. In English, when we're pronouncing words, we tend to put groups of words together and sort of say one group and then maybe pause for a second and then say another group, pause, say another group, and then finish. Intonation is very important for helping people listening to us to know when each item in the list is finished. Okay? And how this works is at the end of each group of words, especially in a list, right? The intonation is going to go up after each item until the last item, and then it will go down. Okay? So for example, in this sentence, we have 3 different items: a hot dog, an apple, and a banana. So if I'm saying this sentence, my intonation is going to go up on hot dog, up on apple, and down on banana. Okay? This lets people know, oh, I'm still talking, I'm finished. Okay? So listen and listen for that intonation. She ate a hot dog, an apple, and a banana. Okay, if I add something else to the list, I'm going to go up unless it's the last thing. She ate a hot dog, an apple, some candy, and a banana. Okay, if If I have even more things, she ate a hot dog, an apple, an orange, some candy, a potato, some french fries, a hamburger, and a banana. Okay? As many things as you have, if your intonation goes up, it tells your listener that you're going to continue listing things. Okay? If your intonation goes down, it says that you're finished. Okay? We also do this in longer sentences. Longer sentences, we add some breaks, some pauses, in between groups of words called thought groups that go together. Okay? In a long sentence, we'll have many of these thought groups, and usually the intonation will rise a little bit at the end of them, and then it will fall again at the end of sentences. So in this long sentence, we have a comma here. Commas, a lot of the time, say where thought groups start. So here, when I pronounce this sentence, I'm going to have kind of three groups. I'm going to put some extra stress on the word but because it's very important. So I'll use the first clause, then that connector word, and then the last clause. Okay, so listen for the intonation. It'll go up, up, and down. Okay? I don't understand exactly what you want, but I'll try to help you. Okay? I don't understand exactly what you want, but I'll try to help you. So I'm using that intonation to show what those different ideas are. I have the first idea, I don't understand. The second idea, which is just that transition. I want to make sure that somebody knows that I'm going to say something different. And then the last idea. Okay? So that's how we use intonation to kind of group our sentences into separate ideas and let our listener know when those start and stop. Okay, and this last one is a little complicated. It's a little difficult, so don't worry. This takes some practice, but I want you to know about it so you can ask people that you speak with questions, and that you can think about this a little bit as your English improves and your listening improves, because this can really change a situation. So if you change your intonation on a particular word in a sentence, it can add a special focus on that word, and sometimes that changes the meaning of what somebody says. Okay? So to talk about this, we're going to look at a pretty simple sentence. I didn't buy that car. Okay? If I say that with just normal intonation that goes down at the end of the sentence, I'm saying a fact. It's true, I didn't buy that car. Okay? But if I change the intonation of any word on that sentence, if I rise my intonation a lot, and I emphasize, I stress a specific word in that sentence, it can change the meaning. Okay, so I want to show you that and then talk about some of the ways the meaning changes, just so you know that this happens. So when you're talking to somebody, if you hear something strange or you don't understand a situation, you can think about it, and maybe this is one of the reasons. Okay? So, again, one more time, if I just say, I didn't buy that car, and my intonation falls at the end of the sentence, I'm just saying something that is true, I didn't buy the car. Okay? But if I say, I didn't buy that car, one more time, I didn't buy that car. So if my intonation rises on I, okay, I'm saying I, Phil Bridges, did not buy that car, but somebody else did. Okay? Maybe my friend did, maybe my wife did, I don't know. Someone else bought the car. Okay? This next one, if I say, I didn't buy that car. I didn't buy that car. Okay? Then I'm drawing attention to the word didn't. I'm adding attention to the negative. So maybe you said I bought the car, but I want you to know I did not buy the car. I didn't buy that car. Okay? My children do this all the time. Maybe my son says my daughter did something and she said, I didn't do it, right? So this one is pretty common because there are lots of times when we want to say, you did it. No, I didn't. No, you did it. No, you didn't. Okay? So in those arguments, intonation becomes very important. Okay? We could rise the intonation on buy. I didn't buy that car. Okay? If I do that, I say, okay, I did not buy it. I didn't pay money for it, but maybe I borrowed it, or maybe I rented it. Maybe I stole it, okay? I have the car, but I did not buy it, okay? Or we could say that, okay? This is kind of a strange word to stress, to change the intonation to. I could say, I didn't buy that car, okay? If I say, I didn't buy that car, maybe I didn't buy this one. I did not buy the blue one, but I bought the red one. Okay, so I didn't buy that car. I bought this other car. Okay, and then the last one, I could stress the word. I could raise my intonation on the word car, which is going to be a little strange because that's at the end of the sentence. Maybe it could sound people. Sometimes this can make your sentence sound like a question, but it can also change the meaning, draw some attention to the last word. So if I say, I didn't buy that car, maybe I'm saying I bought a boat instead, or I don't know, I bought something else. I bought a house, I bought tuition, something. Okay? So this is difficult. It can be good if you practice rising intonation on different words in the sentence, and then think about how the focus on that word might change the meaning. But this is complicated. There's a lot going on with meaning and the situation and listening. So this is difficult, but it's important that you know about it. All right, so this is the last homework assignment of this 4-week ELI online course. So we want it to kind of be a good ending where you can think about things that you've learned, and you can ask us some questions. So for this last homework assignment, I would like you to record yourself talking for about 2 minutes. 90 seconds is okay, 3 minutes is okay, but try to keep it around there, okay? And tell us about your experience learning English for this class, okay? Was it interesting? Was it difficult? Did you like working online? Did you not like it? Just let us know what your experience with this ELI online course was like. And I would like you to include a list. So tell your teacher at least 3 things that you've learned in this class, okay? They can be anything, they can be the main topics or something else, but please tell us what you've learned in the class and tell us in a list, okay? A list is very important for you to practice intonation, so please use one in your answer, okay? And then I would like you to ask your teacher at least 2 questions. Questions are a good way to practice intonation, so please ask some questions. We also, if you have any questions about English, or if you have questions about Missouri State or the ELI, we want to answer them while you're still in the course, so ask us some questions. And then I'd like you to pay attention to your intonation. Is it rising? Is it falling? And then also pay attention to sentence stress and vowels and all the other things that we've worked on in this course. All right, so enjoy your last homework assignment, and we'll get you some feedback soon. Okay, so I have a few suggestions for this homework assignment. Just like with all the other homework assignments, it can help a lot if you take some time and you write out what you will say and you practice a little bit before you record it, okay? And remember, for this assignment, we want you to include a list of the things that you learned, okay? You can talk about them more, but at least have one sentence that is a list of the 3 or more things that you've learned so you can use your intonation on the list, okay? You can have rising intonation on everything in the list until the last one that has falling intonation, okay? Also remember to include some questions for us. You can go back and review what happens with yes/no questions and how it's different from what happens with WH questions, okay? But write out what you say and include those things, okay? And with intonation, a lot of the time, students in my classes get shy, okay? They feel kind of silly changing the intonation, or maybe if they don't use intonation very much in their first language, they're uncomfortable doing it. But when you're practicing intonation, especially if you're at home, exaggerate it, make it big, okay? Imagine you're a singer and you're singing different notes in a song, really low notes and really high notes, okay? You feel silly, but it's important to make your voice used to changing that intonation, okay? If you practice really small and you only make really, really small changes in intonation, if you're nervous or if you're thinking of very many things in a conversation, you won't change your intonation at all, okay? Even if you think you are, the change will be so small that probably people won't notice it. But if you practice big, then when you're in a real conversation, it's smaller, but it's still noticeable, okay? So when you practice intonation, make your changes big, okay? So if you're asking a question, I don't know, what are you doing today? Today? What are you doing today? Okay, make big changes. And then it'll be easier when you're having a regular conversation and you're trying to change your intonation. Okay? And then some things to pay attention to, or even ask people you're talking in English with. Intonation can cause a lot of problems with understanding. So if you're in a conversation, if you ask questions but your listener doesn't recognize that it's a question, maybe it's an intonation problem. If your listener does not hear that rising pitch, then a lot of the time they don't recognize that you're asking a question. Sometimes even if your grammar is good, people, if they don't hear that signal that's the rising pitch, they don't hear that it's a question, okay? And it's the same sort of thing, like if you're having a conversation and you're finished talking and the other person looks at you and doesn't start talking or doesn't respond, maybe part of what is going on is that they don't understand you're finished talking because your intonation did not go down, okay? We sort of use that signal of falling intonation to give the other person permission to speak, to invite them to speak. And if our intonation is going up at the end of our sentences, or it never changes, then people might not know that you're finished talking. Okay, so keep these in mind, remember everything else we talked about, and do your best. Okay, good luck. Okay, we hope that you enjoyed this ELI online course. Pronunciation, like we said in the first lesson, is something that it takes a long time to improve, but even small improvements can really help in your ability to have a good conversation in English. So keep working on it, stay in contact with the ELI and the ELI Online, and we hope you enjoyed the course. Good to meet you. Bye from Missouri State. Okay, and one last reminder about your homework assignment. You're going to speak for about 2 minutes about your experience in this course. Make sure that you're focusing on your intonation and that you include a list of the things that you learned and at least a couple questions for your teacher. Okay? Send it to us by Wednesday and we'll get you feedback by the following Monday. And again, if you're comfortable, use more vocabulary words, use more complex sentences, work on your sentence stress and the other parts of your pronunciation, and that will help. Okay? So again, I hope you enjoyed the course, and goodbye from Missouri State University.